Hello YouTube, I am Wardy, and this is the grand finals of the Stay at Home Story Cup that was played on April 10th and 11th. Online tournament for $5,000. This is the grand finals between Serral and INnoVation. In the bottom right, the red Terran therefore is INnoVation, and in the top left, the blue Zerg is Serral. Yes, you guys guessed I just said the name of the players. I just wanted to do a good intro to grab your attention, and I figured the best way to do that with this series is to give you the tournament, the fact it's the finals, and that it's Serral and INnoVation. Obviously, the player names are kind of big pulls here. So hi, obviously I casted a lot of this event, so this was put on by ZvT. Now, I was not the main stream for this, I was actually the B stream, so I didn't cast the grand finals, but I casted a lot of matches along the way. Yesterday's upload was one of the matches I cast between Serral and Dream from the group stage. So here's my logic. You might be thinking, well, Wardy, if there was loads of great games in this tournament, why are you doing the grand finals first when it comes to casting other matches from it? Well, guys, I'm just going to put it plain and simple. I think people want to see this series. You know, you write Serral and you write INnoVation in the title of a matchup, and I think people are going to click on it and come and watch. So, straight up, gonna be honest with you guys, I'm doing the grand finals first. I'm also super busy at the moment, so I don't want to be like, oh yeah, it'll be cool to get there, but I'm gonna do this series, then this series, and then eventually the finals, because I don't want to get to the point where it's like, I'm just so busy I haven't got to cast the finals, because that would be a real shame. And I do know that ZvT don't actually really upload their VODs to YouTube, so when I got access to the replay pack, I figured, if we get this up, there's gonna be a lot of people that will want to see it, a lot of people that are looking for it, and so I figured it would just make a sense. Now, I'm not going to lie as well, I am probably going to go and cast some of the other Serral games from this tournament too. And that doesn't mean that it's all going to be spoilers. They're mostly going to be from the group stages. The playoff run for Serral wasn't that amazing. I already casted one of them on my stream, and I might upload that if I'm really strung out for content, but it's ZvZ, and it wasn't like the craziest match ever. I'm just going to put it simply. So I'm probably going to cast some other Serral games. They are probably from the group stages. He played a couple other games I didn't get to cast. So they're still kind of spoiler-free for you guys. Yes, he's made it to the grand final, but it is double elimination groups, which means you can still advance while losing a series here or there. So that's just my little precursor intro to this match, why we're doing the finals, and that sort of stuff. If you've got any questions or comments down below, obviously feel free to leave them. I'd love to hear you tell me I'm an idiot for doing the finals first, or God damn it, Wardy, you're just so hungry for clicks. God, you couldn't even cast another series before you put the finals up. But yeah, like I said, I think it just makes so much sense to get this up and out as soon as possible. And while I know I've got a couple hours this evening to cast a full-on best of 7. Of course, if you do enjoy liking this video, if you do enjoy liking it, if you do enjoy it, then like it. You know, take those that sentence apart and put it together a different way. Like the video, consider subscribing to the YouTube. We're doing great, pushing towards 20,000 YouTube subs. Let's keep up that push, and thank you so much for the support lately. Now I'm going to properly talk about this. I haven't stopped just yet because it has been very, very standard and very, very passive. The rest of the games will talk a bit more in detail about the openings. But this one really was just Reaper Expand, 3 command centers of 1 gas, against a pretty standard hatch gas pool into a 3rd hatchery now. So really a map to start us off game 1 of this best of 7 simulacrum, where neither player's doing anything too crazy. I'm a little surprised about the 3cc on simulacrum. It's the kind of map where I would imagine you see something more like just a kind of like, well, any sort of 1-1-1 opener, right? Just into a Liberator, or maybe even Hellion Banshee, because this is a one Roaches don't mind coming across early. So we're actually going to see a Banshee here anyway, so this is kind of like a safety Banshee. We'll see if he actually wants to go Cloak off this. Banshee and Cloak is pretty rare off the 3cc, because you don't really have the gas to do that, and then go into Stim afterwards. Okay, he is going to do it here. But it's going to delay, you know, Stim Pack, for example, coming up. It's obviously a bit out of sync. The Cloak has to start very late. So it's a little bit of a funky one. Like I said, it's not the super most popular, but it's not out of the world sort of crazy either, because it does keep you safe while going into 3 bases, etc. But it also does delay a lot of your bio play, because now you've gone 3cc super early. You're also going to be going in towards, you know, this Banshee play before you get the rest of the barracks up. So that's all worth keeping in mind, as we do see the, obviously, again, eventually you will get to bio here with the Stim Pack coming up, but a little while before you get those barracks on track and so on and so forth. So, as I actually missed one of the Hellions going down, Serral a nice little catch here. I mean, if you look at Serral's setup, he is just going double Evo Chamber early. So he's going to open this series going double upgrades. And that means he's really just looking to get upgrades on the map, be active on the map with these early few units, and just kind of going from there. Nothing really out of this world. Very, very standard stuff, I would say, as the lair is on its way down in the main base. And elsewhere, I mean, there's the extra barracks, there's the engineering base, there's our transition setting up and getting ready to go for INnoVation. So yeah, not too bad. Lost 2 Hellions. He did build 8 in total, which is a couple more than what you would call the standard. Going up to 8, it's not, it's not kind of weird. It's just a little bit more committed, so it does delay the racks by another 200 minerals or so. And typically, it maybe because he actually made them because he lost 2 Hellions and he still wants to have some Hellions at home staying safe, while also having a little squad on the map, maybe looking for creep tumors, etc., and looking for some information. Looks like he's expecting Serral to take the 4th base up here, because when you take this 3rd base at the Zerg, this is kind of an annoying position if you get tanks here pushing into that location. Oftentimes you take the 4th up here, and then this Terran can't get this high ground and push into the 3rd location down here. Serral's going to take the 4th to the left side, so we'll see how that plays out depending on how Inno pushes a little later on. But what is important is the Banshees are showing up now for the first time. He waited for 2 of them to come in together, and it'll catch Serral off guard. A queen kill right away, and now a few drones are going down for sure. That's 4 drones. That was a shot on the lair here, not a 5th drone going down. And there he is. He just gets it in the end now. So 5 drones going down here to start off, as we see the Hydralisk then setting up out the front. And the couple of Banshees continuing around to see what else they can do. 6, 7 drones already going down here, and a couple of these Banshees coming over. Just going to be hitting this queen quite nicely. So queen taking a bit of damage. Again, 9 drones killed so far. And that Hydralisk den from Serral finishing up. This is a really good start from INnoVation, though, right? A lot of damage done. At this point, it seems like these Banshees... are they going to find a way to sneak out of here? Very tough, because the queen's just going to cut the corner. And there goes 1, and here goes 2. No! 2 HP. I mean, okay, not that crazy. And I feel like, in the meanwhile, we actually missed a couple... Did we miss a couple more? No, it was all just these Banshees. 15 drones. For a moment, I thought it was actually still on 10, and I thought I'd missed some Hellions running by. But no, it actually was just 15 drones killed. So that's obviously an amazing start for INnoVation in this game. Really good damage done. And that's the sort of damage that's already difficult to recover from when the Terran's going to start rolling out attacks and just pushing you again and again. And, honestly, this first attack on 1-1 and combat shields is already kind of tough to deal with because you don't have Baneling speed because you went for your own upgrades early. And it's one of the things that's tougher to hold anyways. Never mind when you've had to focus on rebuilding drones than just building up Lingbane against something like this. And you can see now INnoVation, he's bringing the Hellions out. The first couple of tanks are coming over. 2-2 upgrades on the way, but already a 4th base coming down and feeling very safe. And INnoVation is just going to come back into the center of the map, clean up some more of this creep spread, and really work his way out onto the middle of the map here. I mean, Bane speed now done, but with the Hellions able to morph into Hellbats, does this extra row of kind of tankiness in this Terran push, and that's one of the great things about keeping the Hellions alive from earlier in the game. It goes a long, long way to helping out as we see the rest of this coming around the top. A couple creep tumors going down. This Overlord will fall as well, and this is going to deny a 5th base that Serral was just thinking about taking. Now, because it's Hydras and INnoVation knows that he's going to keep building tanks as well, as Serral chased a little bit further than I thought there, but he does stop once he gets off creep. Just cleaning out the Hellbats and then giving this up. So yeah, INnoVation going to continue building tanks, but he is switching into drilling claws. Tanks versus Widow Mines against Hydras. I feel like originally, I'm going to have to hold my thought here because of an attack. It would be weird. Serral's off creep. Originally, drilling claws and Widow Mines were kind of just like never a thing against Hydras. Everyone would always consider that as just not really that good as this Banshee goes down. Just because the siege tanks are so good at holding their position. Big fight from Serral coming across. He's going to run into this. I don't like it. He's going to get the couple tanks for sure, but look at the Marine count untouched by Banelings. And Serral will have to pull back again. See, that's what's so great about the tanks against Hydras. There's no flanking, so you can just leave the tanks, right? There's no Mutalisks coming in to snipe them down. There's none of that anti-air. If you just deal enough damage output, this army's going to be in trouble. You're not going to get overrun because you're missing out on enough anti-air, etc. afterwards by Mutalisks or anything. So tanks are really good at just pushing and keeping on pushing against this stronger ground force than you usually play against. Whereas the Widow Mines are a bit better at kind of skirmishing and picking off some units here and there and having faster moving fights where you're pulling back a lot, which you do a lot more against Lingbane Muta because you're more mobile as the Zerg with the Mutalisks as well. So I'm intrigued by the drilling claws. We'll see what it comes down to. It might just be for harassment later in the game. We know the Terrans have loved Widowmine drops in general, because that's a kill on this hatchery bottom left, and right now INnoVation's having a great time. His fourth base might not be having a great time though. The Banelings coming through here, and with these Zerglings will take down the planetary, but that's a lot of units invested into killing a base. 14 SCVs, yes, worthwhile, don't get me wrong, but it's in a position where Serral's already struggling for army supply, so it means that these attacks are going to be that much harder for Serral to hold off, because INnoVation has just got such an army advantage. I mean, right now you can see him just running around everywhere. Drop here, drop there. Nice little splits away. These Marines having to pull backwards. And these Marines are actually going to get rolled into by Banelings, as overall Serral's going to more or less shut this down. But again, they're scrappy trades that INnoVation's kind of happy with, because he's ahead on army supply anyways. And he's just going to have his next wave of units coming across very, very soon. And he's killing a few drones here and there. He's keeping Serral off of base number 5. And as long as he's doing that, INnoVation is looking at this and kind of nodding his head and thinking to himself, well, yeah, okay, this is fine. This is okay. You know, I'm keeping him low on economy. I've got my fourth base coming back up. And yes, that's been slowed down, but at the cost of kind of a lot of units for him. I think INnoVation's fine with all of this, as he is pushing around this top side. And if he does get this position up here, this base he's denied of Serral multiple times, and he forces this fight where Serral basically just has to push through this entire tunnel up this ramp, it's going to be horrendous. It's so hard to flank that position. You have to come so far around, and even then, this bottom right side is a bit of a awkward spot anyways. Now, Serral has a cluster of Zerglings that come in for a counter, and that is going to buy a few moments, but not much more. And he gets a few SCVs. It's definitely the right kind of move, but you need to deal with this. And the first Viper is out, if I'm not mistaken. I did see that. There's 2 of them here gathering energy. Their blinding clouds are going to be so important in this fight. He needs to do something to shut down these tanks and to give him a better fight here. Let's see what happens. Again, it takes so long for this army to wrap around. Even when you get to here, you've got to go around the corner until you get to the tanks. Here we go. The surround and the flank from Serral, but INnoVation just fights the army on the right side so quickly and easily. The Banes are gone, so now he just splits. Oh my god, there's still siege tanks remaining, and they're going to blow up Baneling after Baneling in this scenario. A drop in the bottom left, still around. Low HP medevac, surviving, and just put on a bit more pressure. Something else for Serral to worry about in this game, as we're going to be seeing INnoVation continue to siege up, continuing to press forwards. Extractor goes down, drones are dropping, and this base may just be in a little bit too much trouble. One of the Vipers goes down before it gets a new cast-off, and Serral, well, he's not even going to try and fight again. This was a game where INnoVation got damage done early. He took the lead, he took the initiative, and he kept that lead throughout every single opportunity. Well played by INnoVation. A couple of good attempts from Serral to get back in the game, but INnoVation didn't make the mistakes he would have had to make to give Serral enough leeway to really settle back down here. On a map like Simulacrum that does have good pushing pathways, does have good positions to get those tanks set up, I almost do wonder about Serral's choice for this third base, because it does just feel, I get it, right? You take the bottom left as your fourth, and the Terran can push from their third base along the bottom of the map and maybe get some abusive positions. But it really felt like in this game, I don't know, like, maybe it would have been better. Maybe it wouldn't have been any better. Maybe INnoVation would have been just fine. It's tough because of the damage that was taken early. That's the moral of the story here in game number 1. So let's jump in game number 2 and see if Serral can fix those couple of mistakes that we saw early. Welcome to game number 2. Heading into Nightshade for our second map here. As in the upper left-hand side, our red Terran player is INnoVation. And in the bottom right side, our blue Zerg, Serral, down a map and looking to fight back in this grand final. So, again, grand final, stay at HomeStory Cup, just in case you guys weren't aware of what this tournament basically is. Just a quick extra mention to it, because it has been a fairly fun event the last couple of days that we had it going on. Basically, obviously, HomeStory Cup is currently not going to be happening for a little while because of the current world situation that's going on right now. I'm sure you guys are aware. And so instead, they actually got sponsored. They were actually going to partner up with Shopify for their next HomeStory Cup and have it take place in the Shopify offices in Toronto. Obviously, that's been put on hold for the moment, but instead, Shopify sponsored this $5,000 tournament to give us this kind of extra little bit of StarCraft. Not that I really need more StarCraft, you know, I feel like we're keeping pretty busy and putting out a lot of stuff for you guys. Lots of streams, lots of YouTube uploads, but Obviously, I mean, in general, I think the more StarCraft right now, the better, because there's a lot of people stuck at home looking for extra stuff to watch, etc. And that's where the whole idea of stay-at-home Story Cup came around. So yeah, this was just an online tournament. Took place over a couple of days. Loads of great games. Obviously, I was the B stream, so I didn't really get like the best games, and even we had good games, which is why you're probably gonna get a few YouTube-only uploads from me in the next little while. As I work my way and sink my teeth into this replay pack. We had a couple good games from the stream that are going to be coming up as well, of course. It depends a lot on the upload schedule. We only upload once a day here, of course, with what I like to call the very best matches slash the matches of most interest, right? Yeah, you know, where maybe, a Serral matchup isn't the best series there ever was, but let's face it, we've all been starving for a little bit more Serral, right? So if there is any any game in particular from the tournament you'd like to see me cast, guys, and you thought it was good, maybe you want to see my take on it, maybe you just heard about it and you heard it was really good, let me know. Down in the comments below, I read all the comments. I do my best to interact and reply a lot as well, but I'm always reading them for sure. So if there's a match in particular that you'd like to see me cast from this replay pack, let me know. I do make my decisions on that. It just kind of makes my job easier, you know? I don't have to figure it out for myself. Anyways, I did promise we'd talk a bit more about the openings early game. It is pretty standard here once again, and no second gas means we're probably seeing 3cc from INnoVation, a second game in a row. Now, I actually want to talk a little bit about the map order we've seen. So this is a best of 7. Now, I'm pretty sure that the seeding for this tournament is based on ESL Pro Tour points, which Serral will have more of because of his run at Katowice than INnoVation, so he will have been the higher seed. I mean, he'll get first map pick in a best of 7, which is Simulacrum, and that makes so much sense. Simulacrum's not a bad map for Terran. It's just not the best map for Terran right now. And it's kind of nice that we're in this kind of map pool that favors Terran a little bit, because it feels like we've not had that in a very long time. But for once, the maps are all kind of pretty good for Terran, to the point where the map which the Zerg picks first is kind of like, well, it's not that bad. You know, the Terrans are like, we see a lot of Terrans win Simulacrum. But most importantly, it means that this is INnoVation's first map pick, right? So he picks Nightshade, and this has been a popular choice for a few different reasons, and I think the main one is third base here, push across the map. It's such a short map, and that does make you susceptible to roach attacks, and with this 3cc, I'd imagine we're going to see Cloak Banshees again, because this is a map where you will get roach rushed, especially if Serral can figure out what's going on. Now, he's actually got this overlord position. Let me talk about that actually just as I finish up my thoughts here. But there's really just a lot of really cool ways you can attack on this map. If you get counterattacked, you can pull back very easily and start your attack once again. So it doesn't take give the Zerg a lot of time to set up a next wave of units if you're just trying to buy time with a counterattack, for example. So that's it really works out as a pretty Terran-favored map in the matchup. And we'll see if INnoVation can use that to his advantage to maybe leverage his way into a 2-0 lead in the series. Now, this is a Cloak Banshee setup. I just want to talk about the Overlord. So Serral didn't, I don't think, scout too much for proxy racks. He did keep his other Overlords at home, but he went straight across the map and got behind the base here. It's funny because this rack's lifted off to try and get the Overlord kill on the ledge, but it wasn't there. It actually went up this left side, which means you can come in because all the structures are usually built here, and you're able to get full information very easily. Also, just because you can get up here without any danger, because there's no way the Marines can reach over here. You can't do that on a lot of maps. So, because it's a shorter map, it allows that Overlord to get to the far side, up the side. And then again, you poke in for pretty much perfect information. So Serral knows what he's playing against. And look at already the switch up he's made this game compared to the last. Last game, Evolution Chambers, upgrades right from the start. This time, it's the Lair and a Baneling Nest. So he's probably going to be prioritizing a Spire here, and also going in towards that Baneling speed much earlier. Then, of course, you end up in the last game, and this is a really nice catch. He was just lying in wait for these Hellions to make their move forwards. Now, a few of them look like they will survive long enough to really reach the mineral line, but the drones will just pull, and it's some lost mining time for, what, 8 Hellions? Hell yeah, yes please. Now, the drones stack up, but only 2 Hellions would not have gotten any kills anyway, so INnoVation just sends it up in the main, tries to get info, and he does get to see the Lair, so a good read on what the setup is. Now, there's actually Evo Chambers as well. I'm kind of surprised we don't see the Spire before we see the Evo Chambers, and I wonder if it's... I'm trying to just theorize this in my head a little bit. It might just be he just wants the fast lair just for the Baneling speed. So that's kind of an option here as well. So he might just want the Baneling speed as the priority off the lair and then go upgrades. We might see later Spire. We might just see him play Pure Ling Bane, which is a really good way of dealing with what is typically that very aggressive pushing and rally pushing style, because you just have so many units coming out. I think it goes without saying that one of the most important things here is going to be these Banshees being handled, managed, and shut down without dealing 15 plus workers of damage, because that was a major issue last time for Serral. I mean, that was the start of the damage, which basically lost him the first game, right? So he needs to kind of get on top of that, and he actually goes, the lair early also gives you this Overseer, I guess. I guess that's something I've not really mentioned. But yeah, it gives you that Overseer early. And with the Overseer early, you can obviously get the rain, you know, the mobile detection to really like shut down the Banshees from getting into like super crazy positions and all that sort of stuff. And you can stop them kind of being as annoying. So it really helps to shut the Banshees down. So overall, it's just a nice little tweak from Serral. I kind of like it. Yeah, I really focused up on the Spire a bit too much, perhaps. But yeah, just Pure Ling Bane for the moment. So we'll see how INnoVation wants to play. He is going 6 gases, which is a pretty good indicator that he won't go full on into just 6, 7, and 8 racks. Usually that means a second factory and a 4th command center. There is sometimes you can go kind of 6 gas. It means you just take the reactors on everything and you don't slow down here or there. His armory is actually a little bit late, so that might dissuade him from going into anything overly aggressive here, because now his 2-2 will be late, and that gives Serral a lot of opportunity to have an upgrade lead and to take some better fights here or there. And Serral is not slowing down on his own tech. I mean, he didn't have much tech until now. But he goes into that infestation pit, and obviously you're looking for a pretty quick hive here around the 8-minute marker to move up in towards, you know, the Ultra's Cavern, because that's what you're basically looking to get to after bypassing the lair tech options here. And once you get to those Ultras, it's really good at shutting down this headbutting style of the Terran, who's just going to try and rally across into, you know, again and again here on Nightshade. So just trying to get up to that stage where you're forcing the Terran to slow down their attacks, just, you know, tech themselves up into higher tech units that are a bit slower, harder to push with, such as like a lot of Liberators, maybe make them go into Ghosts. That's what the goal is going to be with those Ultras. We do see INnoVation gets into a good spot here. Serral does eventually get a few units forward, seats a few tank shots, and I don't think he actually wants to take this fight. Maybe he does. It kind of looked as though these units just kind of ran forwards because they got attacked and they were just like auto-attacking in. Meanwhile, these medevacs over here, one of them got shot down, but one does unload at least and gets some damage done. And Queen picked off, I believe, an Overlord too. Again, not bad damage from INnoVation. He keeps half of the dropship, you know, dropship duo that was there initially alive. He is on a supply lead at the moment, but Serral's also banking up some money. Money that is soon to be spent, I suppose, when this Hive kicks in. Because when Hive kicks in, you're talking Ultraless Cavern right away. That'll go into Kindness playing. He still has to deal with this attack of Inno, and this is nice because he's forced to lift up on a lot of Marines. So now you can actually just swarm up on towards these siege tanks. Maybe Ling's a little slow to actually split up across to the tanks. But now you've gotten rid of the tanks, you've really denied this position. And now that this position is denied, you're in such a better position as Serral, because no longer is INnoVation in this kind of, you know, setup where you can just fall back to somewhere. Now he doesn't really have a camp. He's just kind of floating around with his units and trying to figure out, well, where is kind of just best to go? You know, where could I go for the best? I don't really know here. So yeah, it's a nice final cleanup from Serral, and that should help him out a lot going on from here. As you do see that movement into Drilling Claws, we'll see if he actually makes a switch towards Widow Mines this time. Didn't see much of that last time. Serral, for the moment, just going to invest into Vipers off the Hive right away. I would not have picked that as his initial choice. I think like 1 or 2 Vipers for sure, but I would have thought, again, the Ultraless Cavern build would have been his priority. So Serral surprising me a little bit, but, you know, don't be surprised at that, because let's face it, Serral's god, and who am I? I'm merely, I'm just a mere caster, so if Serral makes some decisions that are just way above my pay grade, then, you know, what can I say? But no, it is kind of typical, in all seriousness, to go Ultra Cavern very quickly. I feel like, especially after he's cleaned out the tanks, like, I can understand the threat of the tanks, and I obviously see where the Vipers are going to be very useful. Just the Ultra's Cavern seems more useful to really get that kind of powerful set of units on the ground to really help you out a lot against what INnoVation is trying to get done, right? So, I'm like humming and hawing a little bit about the choice. Anyways, these couple medevacs lift back up, go to the right side. These are some empty medevacs. I mean, this is not good for INnoVation, right? Please turn around, INnoVation. Serral nearly gets a couple of Widow Mines, I should say. He doesn't actually get them. I mean, he does evacuate this army in the end, but it was not meant to be walking down there. Maybe meant to walk down this way and then down towards this base or something. INno's just playing a drop-heavy style in general. He's actually not done a lot of creep clearing, especially since he got his little position with the siege tank cleaned out. As you do see the bio army on the left side, going to find some morphine pains. Both players having some interesting positions here. The Widow Mines. Oh, there was a big shot. Nice split away on the parasitic bombs. Where I say that he's actually going to lose 2 medevacs still. Both of those should fall down. And the 2 medevacs full of units at least split away and stay alive. It's what's dangerous about the Widow Mines with drilling claws. They get burrowed up and they will almost always get burrowed. In this case, the Lings did deny most of them. So good job here by Serral. That's the help of the adrenal glands. Those Lings fighting a little bit faster. Their damage output increased. And Serral now going into +3 melee. His Ultra Cavern done. Kindness plating should be one of the next priorities. But so should +3 Carapace. Because if you're going Ultras, it's all about their armor. That's what makes the Ultras the beasts that they are. The armor that's so hard to fight through. And that's what Serral is kind of not doing right now. You know, he's not going into... Well, he wasn't going into +3 Carapace. And that's just a little mistake. There's the kindness as well. Obviously, he's not too rushed. It doesn't feel too rushed to get Ultras on the map. And I wonder if that's something because he just has so much creep spread. That he just doesn't really see this as an issue. Man, these Widow Mine shots, though, are really good. So, yeah, I imagine it's just because he's saying, well, you know what? I just don't see the problem. Like, I've got so much creep. I don't need the Ultras to help me protect the creep. The Lingbane's still doing fine. So I can get away with just being a little bit slow going into them. You know, set a Spire up. You know, I definitely want them eventually, right? But not a priority like I'm kind of mentioning. So it may just be because of how safe he feels in the game, as the couple of Vipers here will be looking for these medevacs perhaps. A couple spores dealing some damage, drops 1 parasitic bomb. Ooh, he got another one off on the medevac that is full of units, so that's nice. And the Vipers turn right back around to get their energy back. This medevac's going to be very low then, so not quite dead. But, I mean, this isn't great. Whoa, this parasitic bomb nearly flew it in towards that other medevac. Thing is, these Vipers are just sat right there, so they're looking to just get those kills eventually. Just this little run by here, I say a little, but it's quite sizable. And Bane's going to crash into this mineral line. INnoVation might lose a lot of SCVs here. He actually just turns for the Planetary, and he only just gets. He actually didn't have enough Banes. Surprised these medevacs are left alive. The Vipers not getting the final parasitic bombs off. I mean, obviously they're just gone as the second parasitic bomb lands on them. So kind of surprised not to see that. I'm kind of surprised about the Planetary in a way, because there's actually a CC here already. You know, INnoVation bases are not exactly the problem for him right now. And Serral will continue to push back this army on the bottom left-hand side. Running through these Widow Mines starting to go off. A few Banes blowing up already. And his dropships did manage to unload, and it looks as though there's been nothing just yet to really get the final kills on these. The Queen's not even target firing them down, despite them being so low in HP. Finally gets them, and the medevacs realize they just have to unload the Marines to help out. Everything from INnoVation around the map just getting cleaned up. And while I was kind of commenting on the fact he didn't go for SCVs, it's taken a long time for SCVs to go to these other bases, in fact. And that might just be the thing anyways. Just INnoVation really wanted to send them out to those bases that weren't planetary fortresses yet. So maybe the decision to kill off that planetary isn't such a bad one anyways. Maybe it's still scary enough to send SCVs over there to mine properly that they just don't really matter, and killing this planetary really has made an effect. I mean, it absolutely has when these SCVs are still long-distance mining. So, yeah, if you look at the income, you can see the impact it's kind of had overall. Yeah, I feel like maybe I'm second-guessing a couple of Serral's choices, which obviously seems a bit stupid because Serral's so freaking good at the game. Maybe I should just believe in a bit of what he's doing. I'm just trying to theorize what his logic is here and there and try and make it a little bit of an interesting cast for you guys, as the game right now is not looking hot for INnoVation at all. These Widow Mines will go down. I mean, the Ultras just come crashing into this base up here, so that one doesn't last very long. I'm just going to be seeing the 19 SCVs killed. INnoVation just doesn't have money, and it's just not got a way to set up against this. And again, Serral didn't do it quickly, like you usually expect with this kind of Lingbane style, but eventually now he's on this position where he's got Ultras, he's got a good bank, and he's got a hell of a lot of drones just to push and throw units at INnoVation. And at this point, you do just throw units at base after base, and if you see an army, you can try and fight it a bit as well. But the main goal is just to deny these bases, take the entire map for yourself, stop INnoVation from ever really being able to mine around the map either. I was just going to see these Lings coming in. Planetary Fortress will go down in a second. Bane's going to help to blow that up, and they'll pick off a few of these bio units as well on the top side. Parasitic bombs are chasing down a couple of medevacs, maybe a new parasitic bomb on top of it. In the end, Serral loses whatever was down here that was left over, but obviously already got the job done, denied the base, and INnoVation is 4 bases deep on this game, which is, 16 minutes in. Again, this medevac will go down to the parasitic bomb. That's just a guarantee. As you see, the Ling being going to run forwards here as well, and this is just not an army that will do very much. And INnoVation's just going to type out there and there. There's so much creep on the map. There's so many places that you need more to be done, basically. INnoVation is not having a good time, and that's GG. Serral able to tie this best of 7 up 1 apiece. GG's, well played. How about that? And, of course, best of 7, so we're guaranteed a bunch of games no matter what. But nice to see it go 1-1. Not just going to be a one-sided affair either way. So that's GG's tied up. And, guys, we're going into game number 3 right after the click of my fingers. But actually, that's not true, because I've actually got new overlays. You might have realized this in a new transition. You might have seen it on the new... on some of the more recent videos, and I'm actually going to be doing the transition even on YouTube exclusives because I think it looks good. So I'll see you now. You guys see what it did? It shut and then it opened and we're in the next game already. I thought that was a pretty cool little something for YouTube as well. So I just have to remember that I'm actually doing that now because I think this is okay. I will just say it is the first YouTube only cast I've done where I've actually decided to do this. So hope it looks good. Little extra additions to production quality. Can't mess around in this game, guys. Finally, you're gonna get an opening without me blathering on, because we have in the bottom left our red Terran sending SCVs across the map. INnoVation taking on the blue Zerg in the top right. Serral. So we're gonna be seeing the first racks. I mean, this is just terrible for INnoVation. Serral sees this almost as fast as possible. Oh my god, I mean, this is where you just pull drones pretty much right away. You pull 3, 4, he's actually going to pull 4 drones. I would have said usually you just pull 3. But the whole idea is INnoVation's like, hello? He's like, why are you scouting in the middle of the map? And INnoVation, I was like, oh my god. Please, says INnoVation, please let me have my proxy barracks. Well, I don't think Serral is going to let him have his proxy racks, guys. So, INnoVation... In a way, it's funny because it happens soon enough. If INnoVation gets this racks finished, he might be in a playable spot. And he does. If you lose the racks, INnoVation laughs, I think, at a little bit of the SCV RNG. I love how he laughs with the Korean, what would be the Korean symbol against Serral. Serral's probably like, I have no idea what Z means. But yeah, if you lose the SCV and this racks doesn't build, you probably have to GG. Because you get the barracks finished, you can at least keep it, and you send a Marine home, and you have that behind the wall, and then you can build a Reaper, and it's not ideal, but it's not unplayable. He'll probably CC on the high ground and wall off with that, and then you're obviously very safe for a while, and then you can go factory and so on behind this as well. And like I say, it's not ideal, but if he's only going 2 racks, which he is... 2 racks is like a pressure build anyways, and yes, obviously, if it, if the Zerg lets it do too much, it can end the game. That's kind of how pressure builds work, but usually 2 racks, you transition out of it. You have the gas, so you have the movement towards the factory, etc. coming. So it's not ideal. You send 2 SCVs to the middle of the map, you lose both of them, right? You're building the barracks in a forward position for this Reaper to not really do that much. The speed at which it shows up faster is really not that unmanageable for the Zerg. In fact, this Reaper's already damaged to the point where it can't even come back to deny the creep tumor at the front. So, yes, not ideal, but like I said, not unplayable. Now, other negatives here are going to include the fact that this factory is not going to be able to have a reactor to jump onto. We'll have to build its own reactor. Can you imagine? First world problems for these factories, man, having to build their own reactors in this modern day and age. They're just so used to being able to leech off the barracks, building reactors for them. It's terrible. But yeah, I mean, 3rd CC from INnoVation setting up in the main, so he's just going to go 3 CC off of this and try and salvage it a little bit. Now, I imagine one of the better ways to try and salvage this is to probably say, okay, let's try and get a, like a Cloak Banshee maybe up or so, or just some sort of harassing unit, get the Hellions going to keep you safe. But I think you need something that's going to harass and deal damage off the starport. I'm kind of surprised to see okay, he's building 1 Hellion at a time. He is using the barracks for the reactor. Okay, I mean, that kind of makes sense, because if there's some kind of larger Ling attack coming across the map, having a Hellion already helps to shut that down. But what does the starport do then? See, because I want to believe the starport maybe goes into like a tech lab and a cloak banshee, but at the same time, I'm looking at the gas, and maybe you just go for like a liberator Hellion setup. I think that's maybe the best way to do this affordably. He's going to go liberator. The thing is, Serral's going to get a really good scout here if he wants it. He actually sees this command center, which I'm pretty sure you assume is a third CC. Because A, why would it be this late? And B, why would it be this far into the main base? If, why would it not be here? Or at the very least, like here or something, to be able to float down more quickly. It makes no sense to build a natural command center there unless INnoVation's really not thinking straight. So I think Serral should be able to deduce what's up from this. What I do like about the Hellion Liberator, I guess, is that it doesn't take up as much gas as Cloak Banshees. Because if you go Cloak Banshees, you typically make 2 Banshees and Cloak. That's 300 gas. The Liberator is 150 gas, but you can only, you just make 1. It's still a bit of pressure on the map. And that means you're still able to afford the stim pretty quickly and move into the rest of the bio play pretty quick. So, yeah, I don't mind it so much. The starport's even going to build a reactor so that then you think you can just build the barracks on top here. Because things are going to be a little bit out of sync in general. So just getting an extra reactor up already. Making good use of that starport, which doesn't really have another unit to build right now. But look at what Serral's doing. He knows he's not going to be under super early pressure, so he can get away with double upgrades more easily. So we'll go for that instead of the faster lair like we saw him adjust to in game number 2. So getting those melee upgrades up and rolling. So again, the Queen firing on the Liberator, and it's just going to have to siege over in the corner here, so it doesn't even get that much damage. But it's still a threat, right? Something that Serral has to consider, something that Serral has to keep in mind. And if INnoVation uses it wisely, may be able to get in and still get a couple of drones at a later stage. He's going to try and dive with the Hellions. I mean, you are in a bit of a weaker startup in this game, so may as well try and make something happen. But Serral is on top of it so quickly. It's crazy, because how many games do we see where Zergs realistically do just let Hellions into mineral lines, and they deal so much damage? And it's crazy, because you're like, well, why don't all Zergs just stop it like Serral does? But it's so difficult to always know where those Hellions are coming from. There's a lot of mind games in the positioning. There's a lot of micro involved here as well. It's kind of crazy, as we do see the Hellions over the left-hand side. I mean, a few of them survive. Nice to keep a few alive, at least for INnoVation, because then he can protect the third base. But yeah, I think it's just crazy, because I don't think you ever really see Serral die to like a Hellion run by, right? I know the first game of this series, he died to kind of a couple of Cloak Banshees, but he's always got the setup against the Hellions, and it's what makes him so scary, because you're never going to find that cheap early advantage. And it's almost, I think, never good to try and dive the Hellions in, because he is just so good at defending them. But like I say, how many games do we cast where those Hellions dive in? 10, 15, 20 drones go down, sometimes even. So, yeah, crazy. This time, Serral is going to go for the Spire, so he's going to go for the Mutalisks. Well, what you got to say about Serral here is that you've got to love the fact he's changed up his style every game so far. Lingbane Hydra, pure Lingbane into Hive, now Lingbane Muta. So it's very hard for INnoVation to be like, oh, you're playing like just Lingbane Muta, Lingbane Muta, Lingbane Muta every game. I'm going to do this and kind of adjust my general build to end up in a setup that's better against Lingbane Muta. Because Serral's not doing Lingbane Muta every game. So INnoVation, it just means he has to keep on scouting, keep on checking. He's never facing the same thing twice, which is also good, because even just beyond the build adjustments, right? It's like, oh, well, when he plays this, he was very good at this. Maybe I could take advantage of that. Well, you can't take advantage of that if he plays a completely different style. And while it's still all Lingbane-centric, those 3 playstyles and compositions do play quite differently in terms of, how you have to play it, because the Mutas can give you counter-attacking options. The Hydras are much better at kind of straight-up standing and fighting. The Lingbane is super swarmy. There's way more units on the ground than usual. They all have their separate kind of identities. So as this drop gets shut down and the Queens actually pick off one of the medevacs as they leave, I just like that Serral's switching up a bit. And with the Spire done, he's about to spend this minerals and gas, and he's going to be in a very comfy spot. I mean, I do like the INnoVation. He's found 70 SCVs. He's been able to build up here. Like I said, he's able to make a game of this. And obviously, it's not the greatest setup to play from. But I think it's impressive alone that he's making a game for this against someone as good as Serral, obviously. We're going to see this. A nice little fight. We're just going to be seeing the Lings and Banes continue to come in. The rest of these Marines coming forwards. Lings and Banes continue to split backwards. And we're just going to be seeing this army of INnoVation loading back up and pulling back down to the bottom left-hand side. Just going to be seeing the 9 extra Mutalisks on the way out. So continue to build these up. As we do see INnoVation all the way down towards the front of the base. Command center from INnoVation setting up at the front as well. So just getting ready for base number 4. Here on Everdream, 4 bases are actually pretty easy to hold as the Terran. So are 5 bases, but it's also very easy for the Zerg because you just expand in front of your other bases. Which means it's kind of hard for the Terran to get on top of them unless you really just overpower and push through the center. I actually like that Serral knocked down some of these rocks because this choke point is one that the Terran really likes to utilize to really create opportunities to go forwards and to keep on pushing through. A few more Lings and Banes around the top. A couple Medivacs going to go boosting in toward the main base. And just going to be seeing 2-2 upgrades on the Engineering base continuing to come into play right now. Again, the scan comes down. These Banelings, these Zerglings, all setting up as we're going to be seeing the Lings patrolling away over to the corner here. Mutalisks show up now for the first time in the mineral lines, and yeah, INnoVation has zero preparation. Because he's not been playing against Mutalisks the last couple of games, he doesn't have blind turrets or anything, and yeah, actually, he just didn't see these, kind of like me. I didn't see them coming. I knew they were building, I knew they were on the map, but not following them across here. Now they just show up and start killing SCVs, right? So, he does make a play in, as we do see Marines going to try and push up this right-hand side and go for a few drones, etc. I mean, the Muta's obviously having a great time. Even picks off a Sense Tower, which is great, because it opens up run-bys into that position a little bit more than what you had before. What's also really interesting is we've seen INnoVation 2 games in a row play very drop-heavy. Now that he's playing against Mutalisks, that's going to be much harder to do. I mean, at this stage, you basically don't have to give up on drops, but you have to be accepting of the fact that whenever you do drop now, you're basically going to be giving up these medevacs. So, like, you're going to deal your damage, and then you're going to get cleaned up. And, you know, maybe it's more about pulling units out of position. Maybe it's more about pulling Serral into certain locations. Oh, my God, these Banes. Going to be able to crash in for a bunch of Marines. So maybe it's more about that, but obviously you've got to be ready to give up those units as we see the Ling Bane, though, just collapsing in on INnoVation's army. I mean, Lings on top of the siege tanks, they keep going down. The Banelings finally finding a lot more Marines. These Marines seem like they can't even get down the ramp because of the tanks. I mean, INnoVation is going to push this away as Mutas make a dive into the main, but 11 SCVs down. Serral looking very good with the army comp and even teching up in towards Hive already. So while INnoVation will hit a 3-3 upgrade timing where he has 3-3 against 2-2, Serral's going to be well on his way to his own 3-3. He's going to have that in due course, and he's going to be well on the way to the further units which he feels he needs in this game, which typically you go Ultralisks off Ling Bane Muta. You don't have that sturdiness on the ground. The Ultras really do provide that. Serral just going to back away. It's very hard to end a game when you're playing Ling Bane Muta, so Serral, he's just going to keep running by, throwing some units at his opponent. He's got a much better economy, so as long as you're dealing some economic damage each time, this is generally fine. And this is how you just win out games with Ling Bane Muta. You just wear them down. And eventually you come in and you're like, well, cool, I've had 81 drones this entire time. And yeah, I've been rebuilding a bunch, but I've got a ton of bases. I'm just going to spend my bank on a ton of Ultralisks. And then you don't really have a way to deal with them. 10 SCVs go down here. These Banes really making the most, getting all the way around to the tanks before they blow up. So we'll have to cancel a few Banes. There was a mega Widowmine shot at the front of that attack, by the way. And if he didn't hit that Mega Widowmine shot, I don't think this planetary would be alive right now. So INnoVation would be back down to 3 bases. And that might just be it. But keeping the planetary alive does allow INnoVation to at least keep mining 4 bases for a little while longer. Siege tank there gets picked off. The rest of the Marines and the Thor coming across Serral around the bottom side. A few SCVs going down at the moment. A couple of Changelings will drop down. Adrenal Glands coming up. And just going to be seeing Marines continue to come in. And a couple of Mutalisks continue to be picked away at. So a couple extra Mutas going down. Ultralisk Cavern from Serral sets up on the 3rd base. Just going to be getting that going, like I said. Because of his position, he's very comfortably able to go to high. He's very comfortably able to tech up. And 2 minutes down the line, when Chitinous Plating is in play, Ultras have been made. This is going to be so difficult for INnoVation to hold on against. Because INnoVation's making the right setup with Marauders. But it's more than just Marauders, right? You're meant to have Liberators, and then you're meant to go into Ghosts. And there is just not the economy here to really start doing that at all. I'm just going to be honest, like, it's just not there. As this Bioforce of INnoVation comes pressing forward, Banes are going to bust down this supply depot or 2 on the front on the left-hand side. All this Bioforce pressing forwards, Banelin's already being picked off. Again, the counterattacks are doing a lot, and INnoVation, he gets to that forward position we talked about getting on top of these bases. So just going to back away, wait for some more Banes. He actually may just give up this hatchery. He does have the bottom right, and he does have the upper side base as well in the center to try and work with too. So he's just going to give up the base. He's also got this big counterattack going on, which is continuing to do damage. His Mutalisks are picking off the 4th base. So, you know, as far as Serral's concerned, it's a base for a base. In a scenario where he's got many more bases to work from. And INnoVation, at 14 minutes in the game is not exactly going to have much more to mine from if he loses that fourth. So Serral cleans up, and now he's going to bring the Mutalisks back. Those Thors are very low enough to maybe even justify jumping in for the Mutas. I mean, okay, they went down to the Lings and the Banes, so the Mutas are going to be able to get in here anyways and chase down these medevacs. They're going to run out of boost energy, and the reinforcing units coming across the map on Marauders, they do not shoot up. So this is medevac after medevac going down, and Serral is hitting the jackpot right now. INnoVation's going to give him a choice. He's like, do you want my SCVs? Do you want my medevacs? And so I was like, well, I'll take the SCVs. And INnoVation's like, crap. I guess I lost on any side of this trade, whichever one you picked. As INnoVation below 100 supply, and Serral. I mean, you've got to remember, guys, this game's set up off the back of a failed early scouted 2 racks, right? So INnoVation was always trailing, and again was able to draw it out to this almost 15-minute marker now, but he is dying here, and I don't think we can be too shocked at that. Zoom in for the Widowmine connection. He does take some damage, but of course you need 4 Widowmine shots to one-shot a pack of Mutas via splash damage. And obviously that is just not it. As these Marines come up, Mutas getting picked away at. A couple extra Ultras continuing to go through, and the Lings, Banes, and Ultras continuing to come through the middle of the map. Just going to be seeing Serral continuing into this. These Banes are going to continue to come through and connect. So Bane's going a little bit everywhere. I mean, at this point, INnoVation, this is main base orbital relocated. And as the Ultras come across towards the Terran army for the first time, they realize, well, we don't actually have Carapace upgrades yet, and we don't have Chitinous, so this is a terrible fight for us. Now Chitinous is done. It's a bit better, even better again when +3 Carapace finishes. Of course, that's in 2 minutes' time. Serral doesn't really need to wait for that. I mean, there's no Marauders in this army. There's Mutalisks in the 3rd base, and Serral is going to be going up 2-1 in this best of 7. So Serral taking the lead for the first time in the series. 2 to go to win it out. And of course, INnoVation, well, you know what? Serral was able to tie it up from a deficit. Let's hope INnoVation can as well really make this. Okay, everybody, game number 4, and we're on Eternal Empire. Now, this is not the kind of map I'm expecting the SCVs to come across and get some barracks down or anything like that. This is not the kind of map we're expecting a short game in general. So let's hope for a long one. In the top right-hand side, our red Terran player is INnoVation, down by 1. But putting on a good performance and honestly showing us some pretty fun games so far. In the bottom left-hand side, our blue Zerg player Serral, now leading the series after a somewhat shaky start. Some Banshees did too much damage, and yet here we are now with him rocking and rolling. Although again, the last game coming off the back of an early scoured racks, a good startup, and obviously played very well from then on out. Now, just as this game starts up, guys, I just want to take a quick moment to mention the fact that I know a couple of people have asked here and there about replays and stuff like that. These replays are publicly available, these several ones if you would like those. But also just about how you can support my stuff. And I'm just going to very quickly say I do have a Patreon page, patreon.com/WardiTV. Link is in the description down below. And the majority, actually everything you pledge on Patreon actually goes towards me funding more StarCraft tournaments. But that obviously does support me, because it means I get to produce more content, which gives me more stuff to put out, which obviously naturally supports me, right? So if you want to support in some way, check that out. I just wanted to mention that quickly in a video that might get lots of clicks, and then I'll be rich. Well, you know, rich in... well, you know, rich in some kind of sense, maybe. We might get a new pledge. Who knows? But yeah, this series obviously has been... a world of obviously very normal openers. The last game maybe a bit of a halter on that with the proxy, couple of racks getting found, but otherwise 3cc 2 games in a row. Obviously in a way 3 games in a row, right? Because he did end up doing that when the proxy racks didn't work out. So now, the thing is as well, when you go into Eternal Empire, this is a map where it's like, okay, well this is a 3cc map. It's large. The roaches aren't really a thing here. Maybe INnoVation could play some mech on this one. It's a good map for mech. I'm not sure how. We've seen a couple of players, such as Dream, for example, in the last couple of days of uploads, has been doing a lot of meching. I'm not sure if that's something which INnoVation has found much want to do as of late. So, yeah, like I say, a couple of... I'm kind of lingering on my words here. I guess a couple of options for him to kind of switch up if he wants to. He does go double gas, so it's going to be a 1-1-1, not a 3cc. So if there was a time for him to play mech, maybe it would be now with this double gas already coming up. That could allow him to go starport into a fusion core. Of course, there are other options than that to then go 3rd cc around the 4-minute marker. and just play bio off of it, such as just going like Hellion Liberator or something along those lines. So let's see what INnoVation goes in towards. For the moment, obviously just Hellions and so on the way up. Reaper trying to slow down his third hatch from being taken. He does not want to cancel his extraction until the Reaper's gone. He will get this down in a moment or two. So Serral will get the third hatchery there, the Queen there to fight the Reaper off. But a nice delay. Obviously, Serral wanted to take that just a little bit sooner, so INnoVation able to slow it down, if only for a few moments. But it all adds up, of course, and definitely slows Serral from saturating a few of these mineral patches that little bit more quickly. INnoVation actually goes very fast 3cc up here, so this is not going to be a fusion core or anything. This should just be, he's going to go Tech Lab, but I think he's just going to go for the Banshee, because it's almost like he goes double gas, and he obviously gets the starport a bit faster, but he kind of cuts a Hellion or two. You can see he's only building one Hellion at a time here. They're a little bit desynced. So, in a way, he's actually cutting Hellions to afford the third CC, so it's like a faster Banshee, but it's not really much slower of a third base. About 30 seconds slower, I think, but yeah, still very quick and not quite the 4 minutes that I was talking about. Much faster than that, indeed. So it's going to be Cloak Banshees again. INnoVation really feeling this right now, really believing. As this Overlord hops over in towards the main, having a little look to see what's going on. Coming through, and a nice little scout around. Hatchery on the third base, going to be seeing the Reaper up the right-hand side, and a Zergling will take the Watchtower for a moment or two here as well. As that Reaper joins up with the Hellions, a couple of Marines already pushing this Overlord back, and does not quite get it. So Overlord just going to stay alive. Again, one of these maps where you can kind of get across and up behind the behind the natural mineral line, and get a good scout. And it was again INnoVation. He lifted up this Rax to kind of bring it forwards early to look for the Overlord here, and it wasn't there. He just got the Overlord kill in the end, but of course lost time on the barracks. As he does just go stim pack, he does just go for a couple extra Rax. This is 5 Hellions because it was a little desynced earlier. It's kind of the same as built in 6, just it isn't quite 6. So very standard, not a lot. Shouldn't be looking to dive by or anything with these. Should really be hoping to keep those alive, help them to, take the third base, keep the pressure on the Zerg side of the map just that little bit, and of course then kind of go from there, maybe incorporate them in some of the later game pushes that we typically see from the Terran. Now, as INnoVation does show us that he's going to play bio, we can throw all thoughts of mech out the window. The way that bio usually plays on this map is a lot of pushing down towards this 4th base here. This area is so important, so if you want to deny creep on this map, this is where you want to be doing it. Yeah, it's nice to deny it over here, slow the Zerg from getting creep towards your 4th base, but if you deny the creep here, you keep the Zerg player back, this base is open. And if this base is open, this base is open. And a lot of fights on this map are decided around this area, because that's where the battles begin and that's where the battles end, because the Zerg has to stop you there. You can't let him up to the high ground, you can't let him on position elsewhere, else you're in a lot of trouble. This is a hell of a catch from Serral. He kills one of the 2 Banshees as they fly through the bottom side, and that is INnoVation, losing one already. That's obviously very painful. Now he'll try and make something happen with the single Banshee that remains, but yeah, I mean, not to get, I mean, imagine this is 2 Banshees still, right? That's probably 3-4 drones already killed, and now it's what, 2? It's like, it's just so much more, because you're one-shotting those drones, he loses another Banshee. That was not worth the investment. Now again, there's some safety factor that Banshee gives you, right? It's like, well, I was safe doing this, I was safe building up into 3 bases, etc. It's not what you build those Banshees for, though. That is not what you're looking for when you're building Banshees like that. You're looking for some damage. You're looking to kind of put it back into a position that, a scenario that happened back in game number 1, for example, as these 2 medevacs will make their way out down to the bottom side. A couple of changelings going to be working their way out. A few banelings going to be morphing in. So these medevacs down to the south side, and they'll be setting up very, very soon. Combat shields, 1-1 upgrades. All of this on the way in as the armory about halfway done on the natural, and a few Marines are going to go stimming in after this Overseer, so getting a little bit of damage done with those. As we do have the Spire dropping down on the 3rd base, and again, Marines of INnoVation back around into the center as Queens are coming across. Lings and Banes are running at these Marines, and they'll just have to lift up as the Reaper is going to help to get rid of a Changeling there already. And the unit's going to drop back down. +2 attack on the way. Combat shield's about to finish. And the medevac also going to be completing here in a moment or two. There's again 2 upgrades coming in, and that's Spire from Serral on the 3rd base. Also going to be done momentarily as the +1 melee will be finishing up. Lots more Lings kind of pouring out here and coming towards the front. Lings, Queens, Banes. All of these getting ready to go. A lot of Ling Bane out to the bottom right-hand side. Tanks from INnoVation already setting up here. Hellbats pressing forwards just a little bit. I mean, this is where, you know, the sort of position I talked about. So, because of the units already being on the right side, he can use these to intercept reinforcements, then, of course, eventually flank. Let's see how well he can do this as these tanks firing away. Queen taking some damage. Bane's going to start rolling in from the bottom left, and INnoVation, he just can't kite backwards too far because Serral's coming in from there as well. These Marines are getting caught as they're still stacked together, and these Banes doing some good damage. Of course, they won't chase into a fresh set of Marines off creep. Serral's already morphing in the next round of Banelands here. Now, the Spire is up, but Mutalisks have not been made, and this attack of INnoVation is slowing Serral from going in towards a round of Mutalisks, so he's forcing more and more Banelands, and as he does that, Serral not able to find an opportunity to kind of spend minerals on Mutalisks. He's got 1,400 gas in the bank, so he's so ready to have a lot of mutas on this map. And when he gets them, this game is going to change because the momentum will swing a little bit back into the Zerg's favor. You're going to be able to harass, hit INnoVation, force him backwards. Look at INnoVation. 4th base, forward position to keep pushing down into Serral's 4th base. That is a hell of a position for INnoVation. I mean, that's actually kind of crazy. There's a few Lings and Banes up into the center, and we're going to be seeing the couple of creep tumors starting to go down. Zerglin's getting the surround and a few Lings going down there. The Banes will be rolling in, and the Marines have to split on backwards. Bane's going to keep on rolling, and he's going to connect on a lot of these Marines. At this point, there's not enough Marines to stay split up against the Ling count, and finally Serral will hold this off. Look at his gas bank. 2,000 gas. All he had to do was shut this down, and now Muta's on the way up. And that means future fights from this will look very different as well. That said, part of it is because INnoVation's already on Drilling Claws and Widowmine production, so he's ready for the Ling Bane Muta. And obviously, the way that Serral will approach these fights is very different. Now he's playing against Widowmines than when he was playing against tanks. Against tanks, you want to dive in from all angles right away. Against Widowmines, you kind of want to run a few units in, let the Widowmine blow up, run a few more units in, let the Widowmine blow up, etc., etc. That's +2 melee down in that Evo chamber. Lings and Mutas up around to the top side. Away they go. A couple more medevacs into the middle of this, and the Ling's going to go in and try and fight against these depots. They're picking away at this. A couple Widowmines burrowing up, going to connect on some Zerglings, and that is going to be the Contaminate to slow things down over here. SCV's already being picked away down on the bottom side. Mines and Marines trying to press forwards, trying to find a way in. Mutas are going to go up in towards the main, where they find even more SCVs to kill. Bane's continuing through, and looks as though Serral will hold off. Again, this was not a game where INnoVation prepared for these Mutas. He's been very focused on attacking and attacking. And now he's got Lings running back towards the 3rd base as well. And oh, it's a Widowmine to help out a little bit, but will not be everything that he needs to hold this off. As we see now more Marines coming down. The Mutas will continue to escape away across down the bottom right-hand side. 15 SCVs killed, and finally Serral is able to deal some damage. And he still has gas in the bank. He's just got so much gas income. He's struggled to spend it this game. Very unlike Serral, really. It's a very rare occasion that I think that happens, right? There's a couple more Widowmines go off. Guys, my PC's having a couple little spikes here. Obviously, we'll have to check in on that and see what's up after the game. Hopefully, it doesn't affect us too much. There's a couple of Widowmines. Oh, that one does go off, and the Mutas are going to take a couple of big hits. So they are going to go that little bit lower. Thor production coming in to try and help against these Mutalisks as well. Burrow on the way from Serral on the 3rd base. And a lot more of this Ling Bane now gathering about the front of the 4th. Serral coming through and is going to go for a Sensor Tower. Just about gets there. Sensor Tower will go down. And a few units coming across into the center, taking the Watchtower back. Serral, a lot of Lings and Banes ready to run by in towards INnoVation's 3rd base here. So, ready to make that move as Widowmine setting up, and doesn't do too much initially. I think with these Mutas picking off the Thor and the Medevac, that's really nice. With the run-by potential, INnoVation obviously just has to decide how he deals with this. Serral just has to go and, you know, hold off that attack as the units come over here to defend. He just dives the natural, and SCVs are over here right for the picking. There's still no missile turret setup. The Widowmine's not getting connections as the Banes roll in, and there's really not much bio left there to keep on pushing. And of course, all of the reinforcements are over here running around trying to shut down the run-bys. Lings on top of supply depots. INnoVation is being pulled around silly as Serral just goes from one base to the next, this base, that base. I like these Widowmines to just try and catch these Mutalisks, but I'm not even convinced. I think Serral will see them with the Overseers nearby as well. Still streaming Lings and Banes up here. I mean, flies into Marauders with the Banelings, which isn't ideal, but look at these meters just picking off a Widow Mine. 22 SCV is killed during the course of this attack, which at this point seems like it's just never ended for Serral because he's just gone again. He's extended from hitting one location to the next, to the next, to the next. In a way, it's kind of, I guess, a weakness of this base here when you're playing against meters because they can go ping-pong between mineral lines very easily. While the Terran army has quite a way to run around to defend that, the mutas fly over some Marines. I mean, INnoVation needed something here, and that might just be it, reducing this muta count to a more manageable number. Maybe he can do something else from that point onwards, as we see. Well, for the moment, though, the mutas are still going to be an issue. INnoVation's army is ahead in A, supply, and B, upgrade, so maybe a larger fight that goes his way could find a base kill. And if he can find a base kill, maybe from there, some potential to continue through in the game. But he needs something soon, because otherwise he's going to be bleeding out. He's supply blocked again. Even as supply depots finish, he loses more. The only reason he's not supply blocked now is because so many SCVs are going down. 27 workers left in the game. This army has to make something happen. If it does not, Serral is just going to have way too much, and INnoVation is just going to get overrun. And that might just be the case here already as Serral. Well, he's not going to be able to run too much into this. Remember, he's got a lot of units across the map. These Banes are just waiting patiently at the depots. He's like, give us the order. And they will bust that depot wall down. Serral is going to lose the low ground, but again, he's cleaned out the entirety of the third base mineral line, busting through towards the natural. INnoVation. The thing is, you take this base, and then you've got this base on the bottom side. You've got this base to the far left. Lings and Banes and mutas come running down this ramp. And now these mutas are going to come jumping in on top of this. That's GG from INnoVation. And Serral is going to take a game number 4. And he's going to go up onto match point. Serral is one map away from being the stay-at-home Story Cup champion, as INnoVation was just not really able to handle that. Just a lot of pressure early from Inno, but when Serral held it off, the gas bank was there to make a lot of mutas, and the game never looked the same since. And Serral now, like I said, up 3-1 and looking really good in this grand final ZvT matchup. This could be it, our final game of this grand final if our Terran in the bottom right hand side in the blue is unable to win. This is INnoVation. In the bottom left, our red Zerg is Serral. 3-1 up and has just looked like a monster. It just feels like if INnoVation doesn't find that early damage like he found in game number 1, then what the hell is he meant to do? Like, Serral just looks untouchable from that point on. Which is kind of crazy, right? It's kind of insane. It's scary. It is kind of scary. This hatchery drops down from Serral over on the natural expansion. We'll get this started. And, we see where Golden Wall will go. I mean, there's so many ways. It's a map to talk so much about because there's so many ways a Zerg and a Terran can approach this game. Gold bases you can take. You can take the bottom side of the map. Now, for the Zerg, you typically just go main, natural, third base. So when I say there's many ways, I'm sort of talking, if you're blah, you take a gold base and you roach rush. But, yeah, INnoVation is just in a position where he can choose a lot of what he can do. Now, looks like the initial natural will just come down over here. And from there, you typically take the gold base as the Terran. You get a bit of an aggressive push forwards. You can also, obviously, you can still expand upwards, but a lot of the time you do start to expand down. Some players do like to expand down, or down gold, and push along the bottom and try and make use of this jump over the minerals. The only issue there is that Zergs are getting better at defending that. I think they're realizing the strength of Mutalisks, especially on this map, because the ability to kind of go, from this side to this side of the Golden Wall is very, very important, and that the Mutalisks really just give you that very easily to create some harassment and some counterattacks, etc. So, with that said, let's let the game play out a little bit and see what exactly does happen. 2 minutes in, and we just have the Reaper coming across for the startup of this game number 5. Circling speed on the way through. A couple of extra queens building here from Serral. Obviously nothing out of the ordinary. He's just getting ready to drop down the first creep tumor or so. All the standard stuff. As the Reaper now comes back up the left, we'll be taking the third hatchery location. Just wants to block that and try and slow Serral down a little bit. Inno is back onto that double gas as well. So similar to what we saw in game number 2. And eyes on what he wants to do. He actually sets up the double marine here. He's been going for a lot of early game overlord snipes. He's not been too successful because of Serral's movement. He's not been putting the overlords in a position that can die to the Rax liftoff. This overlord is trying to go far right side. If INnoVation predicts that, he might be able to get there and intercept it. The high ground here is generally here, right? So this overlord's kind of in the middle of nowhere at the moment. Let's see what INnoVation does. He's sitting back with these marines, though. He's maybe a little concerned about no third hatchery being seen just yet and wondering, well, what's he doing about that? I think speed is going to finish in a moment, so I think the moment really has passed if those marines want to get up to anything. No, he actually wants to try and check over here. It's just not there. Man, these overlords, they just know where to stay safe. Of course, it does mean that Serral's very blind early on here as well, right? This is a later scout you're going to end up with, so there's a couple negatives to that. But yeah, there we go. Serral, fast lair, and it had to be something, right? With a third hatchery this late, there's got to be something a little bit funky going on. I like the Viking on this map because it's a map where we've seen Blythe, for example, really utilize Nidus effectively to a great degree. So I kind of like the Viking just to clean out any potential overlords. It's another safer way to open, clean out vision of the Zerg on your side of the map. Hellions coming out to join up at the front barracks. Dropping down a tech lab here in the main base. There's extra drones coming up, and the Baneling Nest of Serral drops into the natural. Maybe he's just going for that real fast Bane speed. No, it's a super fast Spire. I was going to say it's a little bit too fast just for Bane speed, right? And he's got all the 4 gases as well, if you're paying attention a bit better than I am. You will have noticed that, and that's a big indicator for a fast Spire play. So there's going to be a super fast set of Mutalisks from Serral. Again, another game where, I mean, this time he's probably obviously going to end up on Lingbane Muta, right? But by doing a very different thing, which is very cool, is INnoVation. He's actually going to get some, well, Hellions, a Reaper up here. We see this stim pack of Inno building up, and a second Liberator starting. So he's going to go for like a bit of a Hellbat attack. This Overseer scouting right now. Now, obviously, that means INnoVation knows that this is a faster, this is a faster lair. What's really crazy about Inno's build is the triple starport unit. He's actually going to cancel the Liberator here. Triple starport units is very expensive early game, and I get it. Hellbats are coming over. This Liberator wants to get across in a position to attack. This one here. And maybe the second Liberator could do a lot as well. But yeah, it's very expensive, and I kind of like his decision not to. Especially because I feel like this attack's not going to do much. Bane's already ready to shut this down. And there's going to be a lair and a Spire for a follow-up, so if you just went into the extra lib, you're losing so much more from this. I think you're just not going to do anything extra. So I think it's a good cancel from INnoVation as he goes into the extra barracks now, really getting those set up as the Queens chase this Hellbat away. 6 more Mutalisks and the first 6 Mutalisks in production now. Actually gets one of them cancelled by this Liberator, which is just going to sit here and gets a drone kill as well, or drone cancel. INnoVation will be faster on the upgrades. Of course, very heavy tech choice opening from Serral, right? So upgrades are something that then just come that little bit later on. As the Mutas make their way across down to the bottom side of the map. 1-1 upgrades on the engineering base. The Widow Mines coming through. Again, there's extra couple of barracks building in the main base as well. That's going to be a dead first Mutalisk, though. Nice Widow Mine positioning. Serral not paying enough attention there. This is actually kind of hurting because he was originally building 6. One of them gets killed by a Widow Mine. One of them gets cancelled by a Liberator. Now you're on 4 Mutalisks across the map, and sure, 2 more showing up, but this is not the start you're meant to want. You're meant to be getting. These Mutas are meant to do a lot of slowing the Terran down. They're meant to do a lot of keeping the Terran back, a lot of investments, and right now I don't really see the Mutalisks doing that, right? They're just kind of, their numbers have dwindled, their numbers aren't looking great. It's not the craziest position as we see these Mutas to the right-hand side. We'll continue to move around. 8 more drones in production. Those melee upgrades on the way up. The Baneling speed coming through, just over halfway done. And the +1 flyer attack already coming in on that Spire as well. So getting that up and rolling. As again, the Mutalisks try and make their way into a natural expansion, but unsuccessfully. And we'll just have to turn around and go back out into the center of the map. As these Marines come into the middle and the Mutas continue to back away. We'll see a couple extra medevacs in production, 1-1 upgrades, and the combat shields all finishing very, very soon. Mutas will turn back around, and again, what can they get up to? Missile turret still in the gold-based mineral line. We're just going to be seeing the creep tumors coming up the left as well. Hatchery, I think, from Serral will be able to drop down here, so able to get that started up. As the mutas fly in, a couple missile turrets going to be firing. The mutas do get pushed away now in the end. And again, that fourth hatchery in the top left corner. Coming down for the moment. Marines and Widow Mines and Medivacs and well, all pushing across into the middle here. Lings and Bane's going to be taking some damage. So INnoVation obviously should have some powerful pushes in this game. Now, Bane's speed is up, but he has a lot of timing upgrades to take advantage of. The 1-1, and now moving into 2-2, right? And maybe he's not done much with the 1-1 here. But yeah, the 2-2 on the way. He's got this gold base up. He's going to start up a fourth command center. And he's got a second factory. So he's really not afraid to kind of, you know, just keep on expanding. I have to commend INnoVation. He's tried a couple different openers. But overall, he just says, well, if I'm going to beat this guy, I'm going to beat him straight up. Like, I'm just going to have to play macro. I'm not going to beat him being overly aggressive or anything like that. You know, not any 2-base, 3-base all in. I'm just going to have to play like macro. I'm just going to have to play better than him, which you got to commend, right? When you're playing against Serral, the thought of that being your option is terrifying. For a lot of people to just say, well, I'm just going to not do that. I'm just going to try and cheese him anyways or all in him out the game. But INnoVation, even after losing 3 in a row, is going to take the same approach and see what he can do. I mean, these drops initially not doing a lot. The Mutalisk count has built up a lot now as well. And the push on the top side not cleaned up. He actually traded very well on the push on the top side, and it's creating this resource lost advantage that you see here. Plus now getting some creep in the center, so some progress being made. Already drilling claws on the way out as he knows it's a Lingbane Muta comp. And the first Thor being added in as well. Man, he's going to have a huge lead on 2-2. The thing is with Golden Wall, I mean, the gold base being forwards helps you push across a bit, but it's a massive map to walk across, and there's no base you really kind of naturally arrive at as the Terran player. You know, you kind of end up between the natural and the third, which isn't really a base you're pushing into, so the Zerg can take all the time in the world to lure you deeper onto creep, lure you deeper in between those bases, and then pounce from multiple angles. Mutas back out towards the main base here. These Marines pressing forwards and finding a couple creep tumors. Wouldn't mind. Looks as though it's found one of those Mutalisks, so it's nicely done. Comes back in, cleans it out. Drilling Claw's not done yet. Didn't have to wait for the Overseer. As we do just see the command center dropping down, so there's our fourth base taken now for INnoVation. A few Marines to come and protect this. The Mutas make a dive in the main, and INnoVation does not respond to pick off that or repair that missile turret fast enough. 12 SCVs already going down. The Mutas find one more to make it 13. And again, Drilling Claws will now finish up. Melee upgrades still coming in. 2-2 on the way down over here. SCVs are going to get hit by one Baneling that was left over. That's 16 workers killed. So Serral is once more being the initiator of damage. And while INnoVation had a big upgrade lead, Serral's well on his way towards 2-2 now. And 3-3 for Terran is just not starting. So INnoVation giving up an opportunity to be further ahead on upgrades on that final set of upgrades for as long as possible. So Inno not finding that option, and that's a bit of a shame. There's a couple Marines coming up here. I mean, INnoVation feels very pinned back, right? Doesn't really know where he can go. Not really anywhere on the map to explore. Expand out to a couple Marines. Going to see a Lingbane attack already setting up on the top side. As Serral continues to build in the center. Lots of Lingbane to push forwards here as well. And this is where I feel like this setup on Golden Wall really does favor the Zerg. I feel like it's very tough for the Terran to do much, as I mean, this Widow Mine just didn't burrow on these SCVs. Start to run now, but the Marines, there was zero response there from those guys. It feels at this point INnoVation's been a little bit slow on the responses, right? A lot of SCVs going down. Mutalisks all over the place, doing a very good job, as we're going to be seeing. I mean, still just, you know, Lings and Banes still ready up here. He's actually found the engineering base. We talked about the 3-3 not being quick, but now it's not going to be quick at all. You lose the +3 armor. I mean, if there's one to lose, the armor upgrade is the better one to lose. But look at Serral. He's just like, you know what? I've got such an advantage. I was going to roll in and kill the fourth base. INnoVation just instantly rebuilds it in location. What other choice does he have? This is the thing. In previous games, you know, INnoVation's out on the map while all of this is happening, right? He's pushing. He's hitting bases. He's forcing Serral to fight back at home. In this game, INnoVation's not anywhere. He's at home, and Serral is hitting run-bys, multitasking INnoVation into well, the into a GG soon, I feel like, because while the supplies are still in there for INnoVation, if this keeps up much longer, you're going to start seeing the Zerg really just rampaging around the map. I mean, 5 bases already taken, you know, extra bases easily had when the creep spread is this good. And I mean, INnoVation's just not going to be able to keep building units if you keep losing economy as fast as he is. Banes and Lings just run up here. INnoVation loses this army. I mean, now this orbital command lifts up again to save itself, but the factory's going to go down. SCVs are chased away. The mutas have just now left the main base after dealing some damage and fighting off a few Marines. And again, it's another 15 workers. Now you're working on 40 SCVs as INnoVation. And again, it's just like, where's the counterattack? Where's the something from INnoVation that's going to say to Serral, you know, stop a second, you know, go home, defend, let me deal some damage, bring me back into this game. I actually kind of want to say that it feels as though Serral just powered up through this series. The first game, made some mistakes, got behind. Second game, looked good, bit of back and forth, took an advantage. Third game, very big advantage off the 2 racks, but fourth game looked very comfortable from the start again. You know, a little bit shaky, just trying to defend, but overall looked very good afterwards. And then this game's just being complete and utter control, so it's pretty crazy as you're going to see a Thor firing away mutas. Oh my god, we can't even have one moment of excitement for the Terran players, can we? No, apparently not. These mutas are going to go low, but they will not die off. As INnoVation, the maybe a finale push into the center of the map. I mean, it feels like this is... I mean, it feels hopeless. I hate to be a negative caster, guys. I hate to be telling you games are over before the GG is called, but you gotta call it as you see it. And this one, like, I mean, you can see it. There's just nothing there in the middle of the map, and that will be GG. INnoVation doesn't wait for Serral to hit the other run-bys that are going to take down his economy and shut down any chance of a rebuild for the 8th, 9th, 10th time this game. GG's. And Serral is just stay-at-home Story Cup champion, 4-1 over INnoVation. A fun best of 7, I would say. For being a 4-1, we actually had some good games and hopefully entertaining games for you guys. Like I said, I know it's kind of weird to cast this grand final before I do other matches from the event. I just really wanted to get it up and get it out on YouTube already, because I really feel like it's a video a lot of people are going to want to watch. So wanted to get this one out, and then of course, if you're interested in how the rest of the tournament went, we're probably going to be casting some more matches of Serral from the group stages. No spoilers as to what happened in the group stages, but he was in a group with a Laser, Neeb, and Hero Marine. So we'll probably cast that, or at least some matches from that. So, you know, a selection of those games, perhaps. And obviously there was a lot of great players in this tournament. INnoVation was in this event. There's a lot of great players. Sue, Kua. So we'll take some more matches from there. Like I said earlier in the video, if you would like to suggest a matchup, let me know in the comments. Obviously, if you didn't like the video already and you did enjoy watching it, hit that like button. Of course, if you don't already subscribe to the channel, consider subscribing. But that's me done and dusted for the day. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you for tuning in. It has been a pleasure, and I'll see you guys next time.